Hello, so who is this wild woman talking to you? My name is Diana, and I am a Cassandra sister, and these are my doggies, Rainbow in his rainbow bed, and Pepper in another rainbow bed, of course. That's the old one. I was waiting to have the perfect setup and the perfect lighting and everything perfect for me to do this video, because it is going to dig deeply to what my life was like before my person. I always say before him and after him. I had a really rough go, so I'm going to start off with something very personal. And let's see, deep breath. I don't have a problem with sharing my story. I really don't. And I have heard incredible stories from women and from men and what we go through just being human. We all have our stories. I always encourage everyone to write a book, to write their biography, to tell it because we go through stuff. And the more we go through, the more we learn. If we do learn from it, or we have to go through it again until we learn, right? Which is not fun. I think I've been reliving some things about 10, 15 times. I'm 55. I just turned 55. And wow, I mean, my body hurt before. 55, it's a whole nother level. I just never feel good. But part of that is my living situation. So before all that, and I won't go way back, but I just want to say this because it's interesting. I have kind of an interesting setup with my parents. So my mom was 42 when she had me, and my dad was a couple years younger than her. He'd never been married, never even dated. My dad just worked in his shop behind his mom's house, kind of a mama's boy, and he never really dated. He just didn't. And my mother, now, she used to tell me to give a little prayer before I told people. But I think that was back in the day, and what happened to her, that she didn't really want me to share it too easily. But she was a Catholic nun for 20 years. And it's so beautiful that I want to shout about it. I think it's gorgeous. She was given so much hell about leaving. Oh, she divorced Jesus. And I mean, come on. There were a lot of people leaving at the time when she left in 68. I came along right after. She didn't waste any time. But yeah, she was a Catholic nun. And she was there for 20 years and she left. She lived with her sister for a while just to get on her feet, and met her sister's husband's brother, who she married, and my dad. And I came out about 2 years. Anyway, my birthday's 1970. And I was her miracle child because she was older. Back then, you didn't have kids at that age. I mean, very rare. And I remember going to school and my friends would say, oh, there's your grandparents picking you up. It's like, no, that's my parents. So it's very different. So I'm an only child and basically kind of came into this world with already the family just thinking that my parents were bizarre because my dad had never married. My mom was fresh out of the convent. This weird couple, like I was just out of the gate supposed to be weird, right? Not too wrong there. But I really had a rich upbringing with them. I was an only child and I was babied a little bit. And my family would say I was a spoiled brat and drove them nuts. I was the youngest and all their kids were already in their teens. So I had no cousins my age. And really my whole life to right now, I have been a lone wolf. You know, you think you don't fit in high school. I felt like I really didn't fit in. So that part was hard. And I remember just always needing and grasping, and I always wanted to be understood. And again, teenagers, like youth is wasted on the young. Ugh. And you either feel out of place or you get caught up into things that aren't too healthy for you. I used to be called an L7. It means you're a square. Never drank, never smoked, never did anything fun until I was 18. And that's when I met my first husband. I was 18 years old and We dated for about 7 years. He was really reluctant to get married, but we finally got married and got this little house, and we were kind of making a life, and I wanted to have a kid. I really wanted a baby. I wanted a baby since I was little. I just knew I was going to grow up, be a mom. That was my thing. And then having older parents, I was kind of from that generation where the woman didn't really work. She raised a family, and so that was what I was supposed to do. I struggled with chronic pain since I was 9 years old. That I can remember teachers telling me, oh, it's just growing pains. And the reason I'm saying that is due to this pain my entire life and always going to doctors, never figuring out what the heck is going on and being called a hypochondriac, I really felt that I was going to need to be taken care of for the rest of my life, that I could never get a high-powered career. I could never climb that corporate ladder because I was always sick and in pain my whole life. Oh, that sounds so sad. It was. I must have spent thousands upon thousands of dollars trying to figure out what was wrong with me. Tests after tests and diets. I went on every single diet. I wasn't eating gluten back in the 80s. When people thought I was nuts, I went off all of the nightshades. I went off sugar. I read, it was called the Yeast Connection book, where you go off all sugar completely. So I'm telling you, when people tell me about diets now to relieve my pain, it's like, oh, I did that. I did that. I did that one. Oh yeah, that one, no. So I knew that I felt like I was going to need to be taken care of. And I think that's part of my excuse of why I've kind of been preyed upon by these evil men that just want to take advantage. At any rate, I did manage to help my husband run a business. We ran a landscape maintenance business and we had 400 clients doing really well. I did all the phone calling. I am good on the phone. And before that, we worked with a telemarketing, and people would call you and, hey, want to buy this product? And I was excellent. Like, I could talk. And that was really what helped, if I could sit and talk like I'm doing right now. So it was good. We had a good business, and we had this really tiny little hole in the wall house. And I always loved to decorate and made it really nice. And then we bought this nicer house because we had all of the city pretty much cutting their grass. We just cut grass. We didn't do any of the other, but mainly just lawn people. I feel that we invented the rock throwing. If you ever had little bags with little rocks in the bag and the flyer, and we threw that out. We threw flyers, and I used to throw out flyers a lot. We worked our butts off. And one night we were driving along and we did our flyers. It was like 12 o'clock at night. And I guess my husband was swerving, and a police officer pulled us over. And the police officer asked him for license registration, and my husband gave the police officer his credit card. Luckily, we told him we're exhausted trying to run this business. Those were the days, making flyers, throwing them out, all the phone calling, all of that. I used to hire someone to just sit with me while I was filing. I was so lonely. And we still didn't have children. We had a couple doggies. My sweet doggies, they've always been my children, along with cats. Now, I was a cat woman way before I was a dog mom. So we had this great business, and then the crash of '08 happened right when my mom had a mini heart attack. And I just took care of her. There was no question. I just took care of my mom. That was just, I had to. And I wanted to. And I was still dependent on them financially. We had ups and downs that I would still, hey mom, can I have a couple hundred, At any rate, I not only had to take care of her, I still depended on her and my dad. Even though we had this business, I was 38, the crash of '08, and she got deathly ill, and they gave her a few months to live. And she ended up living 2 years after that diagnosis. And she lived with me, and it was the hardest part to just watch her get sicker and she'd be okay, and then she'd lose a lot of weight, and then she'd kind of bounce back. And at the time I started going to a Buddhist monastery. Try not to cry. I started going to a Buddhist monastery that I found in Escondido, the tradition of Thich Nhat Hanh. And it was absolutely beautiful and life-saving at the time. So it's the crash of '08. We lost 80% of our clients pretty much. It was devastating. I remember the night when I was trying to pick up the pieces, and it was like trying to hold on to a fish. Everything was falling apart right in front of us. So we were losing all of our clients, and we had this house, and now I'm taking care of my mom, who I'm still depending on her for some financial things. So let me make that more clear. Where we overstepped. When we bought the bigger house, we were going to get more trucks, and we hired 5 people, but then the crash started to happen. Timing is everything. We happened to expand our business, boom, right when everybody canceled their lawn service. How lovely. And my mom's dying. Oh, and guess what? My dad couldn't walk. So he was extremely overweight. His legs were blue, and the doctors were amazed that he was still alive. So now I'm taking care of both of my parents, and we're losing our business. They've got a house and a block of buildings they were renting out, which was not rented anymore. So that was needing care. So all of a sudden, everything was just blowing up, just losing everything. My mom's dying. My dad's sick. He's yelling at me constantly. He probably started to get delusional at that time. He couldn't understand why I took my mom into my home and said that I stole his wife. And now I needed all this money for care for her. There was a facility I had to take her to that was $4,000 a month because she almost burnt our new house down. She used to wander, and it was a mess. Wow, talking about it now, boy. You know, I used to not be able to talk about it. It was just so much all at once. So then my husband was at his wit's end. Can you imagine? And he decided, I know this sounds crazy, he bought a house up north, and he left me taking care of my parents. The lawn business, we just gave it up. So he was going to go back to school. It's all a blur. I hope that you're not completely confused. When he went back to school was when he saw everything falling apart here. And he was still able to get a house there, which was ridiculous. He did apologize for doing that. So I just want to say, good guy. He was just, we lost everything. We worked on that landscape maintenance business for 10, 15 years. And for it to just go up in smoke, and my parents to be sick, and I took care of them. Now there's more being drained out for my parents. They didn't prepare. They didn't have money to take care of themselves. And here I was having to borrow some money sometimes and feeling guilty that I used some of their money that they could have used for their care. It was just, whew. So he takes off, goes back to school. And I remember my neighbor saying, oh, he left. Well, that's the beginning of the end. And I said, no, we're fine. We were not fine. It was September of '09. We got a divorce. We'd been together about 20 years. Only 3 or 4 months after that, my mom passed away. And wow, so I've gone through divorce now. My mom passed away. My dad's needing care. I'm still taking care of him. He did go into assisted living. And then I can't find work. And I always had chronic pain, remember? So I couldn't really afford anything. I was pretty lost. Soon after my mom passed, I flew to France to become a Buddhist nun. Why not? Why not? It was the most amazing experience. I'm so glad I did it. I was there for 3 months. I decided to come home. Now, let's throw in something else. Soon after my divorce, I fell head over heels for a flippin' race car driver. Add speed and fame is the greatest aphrodisiac after having a divorce like that and just feeling like I was nothing. This guy, whew, did he want me at all? No, I was his plaything. How nice. So I had that on top of everything else. But that was my escape. He was my drug. So when I went to France, I kept thinking of him. He's not going to want me anyway. That's why I'm here. But I hate to admit this, that I kind of came back hoping he would love me. Please love me. How crazy. I won't say stupid because I was struggling, boy. And just thinking, remember? I didn't think I could take care of myself. I needed somebody to take care of me. Now, my 2 life supports were dead. Well, my marriage was dead and my mom was dead. They were my lifeline. I come back home from France, decided not to be a nun, of course, and I remember contacting him right away. Oh, I met somebody else, he said. I think he was with her the whole time. I don't know. I don't care. But I was still okay. The peace that I found from living in a Buddhist monastery, if you ever have the chance, it is heaven on earth. It was for me. I will always just cherish that time. So I come home, no money. I remember one of the ladies in the monastery gave me $5 to get home. And my ex-husband gave me a plane ticket. I got a one-way ticket. I was going to be a Buddhist nun. So he helped me get home. And my dad's in a facility and something happened with his Social Security and they cut him off. That's what it was. We got an inheritance. Oh, the inheritance. Oh, I'm saved. Money. Well, that inheritance, we had a joint account, my dad and I was taking care of him. Now, 2010, we lost everything. The homes were all gone. His home, our home, the block of buildings, gone. No money, because it was all used up in their care for just a couple years. And of course, I needed support too. So we get this money. It was supposed to go to him. In California, it would have gone to me. But since it was in a different state, it went to him, but we had a joint account. So I was, of course, I'll use it for us. And I thought I can pull my dad out of this assisted living and we can live together. My dad would not leave because aliens would abduct him. He was not in his right mind anymore. And that makes me cry because I could have took him home with me. So that sucks. For whatever reason, my family kind of came at me. They were not understanding what was going on, and I was just trying to hold everything together. For some reason, I had a particular family member that was just going to take over, and very angry that I got any of the money from my dad. We had a joint account, and I was taking care of him. Why wouldn't I get some of the money? So my car was completely broken down, and remember, I'm not able to find work. I'm having a hard time, okay? Okay, people? And I got a car. I got a new car. I got a Toyota Corolla. I didn't get a Mercedes. I got a Toyota Corolla. It was reliable. Now, it's funny, as I think of it now, I met my guy, my autistic guy, didn't know he was autistic, 2010, right after I came back from the monastery. I should have become a nun. So we were tumultuously dating. Like, he would break up with me and then get back together and break. So I didn't really know what was going on with him. But he did sweep me off my feet, took me to Cancun right after we met. And the thing is, my family seeing me with this rich guy and just insane that I used my dad's money to buy a car. Well, hello, that's between my dad and I. It sucked. So my family really, and it wasn't really my family, it was just this one particular family member. My mom was kind of the leader of keeping us together as a family. She had several siblings and they had kids. And when my mom died It was like I died with her. I didn't exist anymore in my family's eyes. I wasn't invited anywhere. I didn't have children to kind of get along with the cousins' children, but they were all older. So I was just kind of this oddball, crazy girl taking her dad's money. I get it. I get it, family. I get it. It's weird. Just unfortunate. So I remember just going through hell, this pain of trying to make it. And I remember, so this gets crazy. All right. I'm driving along with Gil. I'm driving with him. That's my guy now. It was 2012 by this time when I got that inheritance money. And when it came into the bank, and I hope you're not confused, but stay with me here because I got to tell you this part. When it got into the bank, they took my dad's money away because then he was making too much money, the SSI, Social Security. And so his facility wasn't getting paid. I had no idea, no clue. So I'm driving with Gil and I get this police officer calling me and I didn't answer the phone. And then we went out and had dinner or something and I didn't answer the phone again. Well, then my uncle called me and said, the police are after you. What? And he said, if you don't answer their call, there's going to be some trouble. You need to make sure you answer the policeman's call. And see, with Gil, I never had my phone on because he didn't like the noise and the ring. But anyway, took my phone on and police officer said, you owe money or you stole money from your dad or something and I have to do investigation. And oh my God, what in the world? My family member told the facility that I had plenty of money and that I was just going to let my dad rot and get thrown out in the streets or whatever. So the police officer meets me. It's New Year's Day when we meet at the police station. And Gil's with me, and Gil walks up, and the policeman said, I just want to talk to her. Have you ever been questioned by the police? It was so terrifying. I've never been more scared in my life because I couldn't understand what was going on. So they said, well, you took thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars from your dad. And I said, no. And I'm just shaken. And he said, well, let's go visit your dad. So the police officer, and nobody's there. It's New Year's Day. Nobody's around. Everybody's at home watching the Rose Parade. Goes into his office and he leaves his police car running. And he says, wow, I don't do that. You could have taken off with my police car or something. He makes a joke. So already I feel like he's understanding that there's not really this horrible crime going on. So I felt a little more relaxed. It was because of the car I bought. It really came down to the car that I bought, that my family member told the facility that I wasn't paying, that I had gotten this whole heap of load of money and stole it from my dad and wasn't paying for his facility. So that's why the facility called the police officer. And we went to my dad's assisted living home and there was only one person in there because it's New Year's Day, one office person. And she looked at me and the police officer says, well, I was told that she's not paying for his care and etc. And she owes $10,000 to this facility and they haven't been paid. And the office worker said to the police officer and looked at me and saying, they told you that? She doesn't owe that. We only need $2,000 from the last month's rent. And I was like, so even the office worker, and it was actually the manager, I found out, talking to my family member who did this. It's just horrible. So the police officer said, well, let's go talk to your dad. And we go down there and he says, she got a car? And my dad said, yeah, I wanted her to get a car. So then the police officer was fine and walks me out and says, you'll do better for this year. And I thought, what do you mean I'll do better? What, tell my family to go jump in a lake. I mean, oh gosh, it's terrible. So that happened. And now I'm with Gil, who is not understanding what's going on. And his parents get sick. And so his dad signed something in front of me. Gil thought that I made his dad sign. So now I'm like, all of a sudden this criminal, and Gil breaks up with me because he believes my family, seeing that they called the cops on me. And now, oh my goodness. You know, I think of people that are wrongly accused and they're in jail. I can't imagine that pain. I got a taste of it. But to actually be put in jail for something you didn't do, oh, it's gotta be so horrible. I was just constantly running, trying to live. It was constant survival mode. I also went back to school. I went back to college and I got on the dean's list. There is so much to the story now that I start to talk about it. But let me get down to the nitty-gritty of why did I meet somebody like Gil? I talked to Deborah Lawrence when we did an interview about fawning and just being the people pleaser and always having to do things and always just thinking you'd be a good girl. We can't ever just say it's one thing. And I want to make that clear because many of us Cassandras, we are all the expert. I want to say that loud and clear. We are all the expert because it is so new, so misunderstood that we have to figure it out on our own. And if we had a crappy childhood, if we had our family accuse us of stealing, if we had a horrible caregiving situation, all the different things that happens to us in life, the webs we weave, there's so many different reasons why we meet these men. And if you disagree, please leave a comment and let me know. Is there one thing that makes us attracted to these guys? The blanket statement of, well, I was vulnerable. That's part of it. But what if I was something else? What if he just won me over? There'd be some other part of me that was messed up to not see the red flags. All of us, every single one of us, if you're human, you got something crazy about you. That's what human is. Therapists and counselors really need to keep in mind to listen to the story of the person, to be a deep listener more than anything else. And I'm not a therapist or counselor at all. I do feel I'm a little bit of an expert in this relationship just because I've had to be, just like all of their Cassandra sisters. Deborah, when I did the interview with her, I was just blown away by some of the stuff she said. I learned, click, check that box. Oh, I learned about that. I learned about fawning. I learned about alexithymia. I was saying it wrong all through the video, alexithymia. It's alexithymia. And I thought, wow. And I keep getting little glimpses of why he is the way he is and why I'm doing this. And at the end of the day, you have to know when to stop and sit back and just say, you know what? This is who I am. This is why I am. This is why these things happened. Because it just is. We don't have that guideline that says you got to do it this way, this way, this way, and that will happen. You can do it exactly the way you're supposed to, and you get some totally different bleep show that happens. So I could think all day long that because of what my family member did to me, that I met this horrible guy and now my life is ruined. Or I can sit here today and just do the next thing. Just do the next thing. Just say, yeah, life is good. I'm still here and breathing. And none of us know what the heck's going on. The one thing I do know is that life is pretty flippin' incredible. That we are even here at all. All of our differences and all of our crazy mental illnesses. I'm here in the thick of it and hope that I can give some support and fun to my fellow Cassandra sisters and how much I love you because we really need each other. And you know, one thing that Deborah Lawrence taught me is that our guys do have that dark side. If we have Cassandra syndrome, our guys have that dark side, an extreme side of it. It could be autism. I say that all the time. But like she said about alexithymia, and hers was in the dark triad where he actually had a criminal mind and what she said. And whew. So we kind of have to look at our own journey and our own person And really, at the end of the day, it is you and him. And then it's just you. And how do you get your needs met? How do you have the most fulfilling life that you can while you're on this crazy spinning planet? The hardest thing to do sometimes is to love yourself. We're all doing the best we can with who we are, where we've come from, all the different walks of life, all the different whatever mental stuff you have going on. You just do your best. You know what? If you share your heart with somebody and they just tell you to go pound sand, walk away. It's just not worth it. I struggled for years trying to get my family to love me. Love yourself. And like, I keep quoting Deborah Lawrence because I love her to pieces. You have to do self-care. If you've had a rite of passage in your life, like I did, where it's constant turmoil, where you don't even know if you're going to be able to make it out, let me know. If you feel comfortable talking about it, I'd love to hear. I want to hear. I want to be there for you. But if not, you can just put a yes. Or maybe you related to some of the caregiving stuff that I talked about, or maybe commiserated with the family stuff that, you know, I was hit with a double whammy. They didn't believe me when I was taking care of my parents, that I was doing my best, so I wouldn't steal money from my own parents when I'm an only, what? And now not believe me that I have this man who has autism. And then not believe me that I have fibromyalgia, because, you know, fibromyalgia is completely misunderstood. So, I have 3 whammies. Holy crap! Jeez. I didn't think about that. Yeah. Only child. Oh, I have a lot of stuff. Oh, I didn't have children. How many is that now? I am so weird. Oh my goodness. You know, people get jealous of me that I don't have children. You know, like I can do things, and I would do anything to have a child. Anything. I would have done anything I could try to. And then I've got Gail saying, well, you didn't do everything or you would have had it. Oh my God. Oh, he's so understanding. If you know somebody who wants to be interviewed by Crazy Me, they have to be a Cassandra sister, of course. But I would love to talk to you or them. Okay. Take care of yourself.